two rules everybody knows. First one is don't go in with anybody who's got more to lose than you do.
And what's the other rule?
Everyone down!
Don't get caught.
Go, right there!
Sam?
I just want to be able to take care of you. You want to see me selling dope?
My little brother and I'm trying to help you out. This is our way out. It's perfect.
It's good to have you back.
I'm trusting you boys with $62,000 of my product. I feel good about this.
He's on to us.
Owen, you're going back to prison again.
Doug's gonna kill us.
We're gonna get your money. We just need a little more time.
You got 48 hours.
We're gonna go in there, get the money, and get out of town.
We're in and out in 7 minutes. What do we know about robbing anyone?
Just walk in and take it. It's a stick-up. It's not rocket science.
Give me all your money! Split it between us. We're still gonna be way ahead of the game.
What the?
Don't stop the party on my account, boys.
This is your fault! You did this!
You can die with them or come with me. It's your call.
This is for us.
I like you, man. I prefer a happy ending.
Hello.
Hello.
So this is a classic heist film. Let's
Yeah.
get right into this. This is a classic heist film. Is that what interested you in doing it? Is in doing a heist movie?
Well, yeah. I mean, it was also the way that the script was written and all of the characters. It's sort of you see kind of 1 minute of the heist at a time, and then it'll flash back. So by minute 3, it's starting to get a little dicey. And so you get to it's this beautiful sort of thing where you get to it's a beautiful heist movie. No, but you get to
They all fall in love at the end. It was a huge surprise to me.
Exactly. But you get to sort of what their fate is, and then you see them sort of heading on this you see this trajectory that is probably not going to end well, but you still don't know the final outcome. So anyway, it's I thought it was a great script, and it was really a lot of fun to do.
Are you a heist movie fan? Do you have like Reservoir Dogs? You brought up Heat in the green room.
Oh yeah, I am a big heist movie fan. Yeah, Heat was amazing, and yeah, what other heist movies are there? Heist, I like that one.
Well, that brings up David Mamet. You're apparently doing a David Mamet play, right?
I am right now. Yeah,
That's incredible. Are you Mamet? I mean, I imagine you're a Mamet fan.
I am a Mamet fan. I went to school at the Atlantic Theater Company, which is also where I'm doing the play. But
his company.
yeah, basically William H. Macy and David Mamet took all these students and gave them all these seminars, and they formed this theater company that's really amazing. And but yeah, it's all based on Mamet's and Macy's ideas. So yeah, it's exciting.
What are those ideas? What are some of those ideas? What does that entail? Because I always thought that when I used to read Mamet before and read some of his interviews, he talked about sort of putting a metronome, right, on the stage for the actors to just hit their lines in beats, the beats of the metronome. But that can't really be the entirety of the teaching.
No, that's not it. It's mostly to try to it's mostly to get actors out of their own way, I feel like. Because one of the things that he says that I really understand is that your job is to, and some actors forget this, but your job is to tell a story to the audience. Your job is not to have your own cathartic experience. So if you fully believe that you're the character and you go through this transformation or whatever, you have this amazing experience, but that you're not telling the story, you're not doing your job. If you are up there and you feel like a total fraud and a fake, and you but you're telling the story. You're still doing your job. So it's just about sort of reminding people that the purpose of all of this is the audience members getting an experience from it, and
Sort of
not your own personal thing.
The opposite of the method Brando
It's
kind
yeah,
of.
and he basically says at one point, he says, if it feels better for the pilot of the 747 to flap his arms in the cockpit, then he can do that all he wants. But he also really has to press the buttons and fly the plane safely.
So going back to this movie, 7 Minutes, what was your shooting time like? It's a small film.
Yeah, it was really small. We started in we shot in Everett, Washington, and it was really short, maybe 20 something days, and the town really embraced us, and it was a lot of fun. I mean, but super intense. I mean, when you have this much sort of violence and high stakes and people who are pushed to the limit, and the main guy, the guy on the right there, we all look kind of the same in that picture, I guess. But he's basically his whole life was football, and he injured his knee, and now he's working, but he can't keep a job, and he's really a good person. He's trying really hard, but he can't get it together, and he has a kid on the way, and so you have all these stresses, and then you see what happens when people make bad decisions.
Right, absolutely. And you have I talked to you about this in the green room a little bit. You have a neck tattoo.
I do have a neck tattoo.
Not here, not right now, but in the movie, his character has a neck tattoo. And you were saying that you were worried that they wouldn't cast you because they wouldn't believe that you could have a neck tattoo. You said?
Yeah. Well, I don't usually get cast as neck tattoo type people, but not that. I mean, people from all walks of life can have neck tattoos. I'm not saying anything bad about neck tattoos. I'm just saying that.
Let's not offend the neck tattoo.
No, that's not
please.
the. Yeah.
Very active on Twitter.
Very active on Twitter. Yeah. I mean, it was pretty amazing to think about, because a lot of tattoos people get and they're sort of hidden, but you get a neck tattoo and that's a thing that's for people to see, and so it's interesting. It's his daughter's name, is what the tattoo is. It also says justice, so it works.
You are alerting people. I am not employable. No.
Yeah, exactly. I was nervous about not only the neck tattoo, but I don't often get to sort of play these kinds of guys. And
what do you feel like you often get to or have to play?
I often get to, I mean, a lot of times sort of nicer people, not criminals. A lot of times it's the guy who is nice but not interesting enough for the lady. I don't know. I guess people who are trying to be good people, and this guy is he's trying to get money.
Well, he's a kind of a good person, but yeah, he's trying to get money to pay for his family and stuff.
Yeah,
right?
he has. Well, that's the thing is I think that there's a lot of times no one's going around unless you're completely awful, evil, horrible person thinking that they're bad. Most people who do bad things are still the hero of their own story. They've justified it, or they've made it. I have to do this because of this and this and this, and I wouldn't normally do it or whatever. So to me, it always feels like there's a core that sort of goes through all the characters that I play, so that he's not that dissimilar from other people that I've gotten to play. He's just had a different life and a different set of circumstances, and maybe with better home life or better friends or any number of elements, he wouldn't have ended up like this, but he did.
How much preparation do you do going into a scene playing a character like this? Outside of knowing your lines, of course, and knowing what the blocking is when you get there, but how much does it take you to get to the place that you might have to go to play this character?
My main thing is always getting to know the other actors, because I think it was when I saw that movie Y Tu Mama Tambien. Have you guys seen it? It's so great, and I left in this sort of combination of like inspired and amazed, and also completely depressed, and like, well, that's the best acting I've ever seen in my life, and that's impossible to do. And then I found out that those guys were Diego Luna and Gael Garcia Bernal were friends in real life, and that was one of the things that I loved about that movie so much, is you could see the history of them, and you can start to kind of approximate it a little bit, but not first thing. Like, you can't meet another actor and go, we've been friends for years, and there's a whole history, and there's inside jokes, and there's, shared memories and all of these things. But what you can do is get a couple shared memories and get a couple little things like that, and then extend those back. Because a lot of times with friends that you have history with, you can run out of those stories. You're like, high school reunion, like, and then remember this? Yeah, and then remember this? And yeah.
That's always the worst moment of getting reacquainted with someone from high school, right? Is that moment where you're like, oh, that's really it. We're done.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I got no more here.
And then what happened? Oh, yeah.
Hey, I'm gonna go get another drink. I'll
Good to see you though. We should totally see each other at the next 20 years.
Catch up again when I'm a little more drunk, and we'll find something to talk about then.
Exactly.
Have you ever found that other actors may not want to participate in that? That there are actors who are just sort of like, I show up, hit my beats, get out.
Totally. And I don't like show up and say, listen, we have to bond, and this is my process. A lot of times it's like my little secret journey. I'm like, I'm trying to see where their sense of humor is, and okay, they didn't laugh at that, and okay, they didn't laugh at that, and just try to sort of gauge where they are, and then sort of tailor myself to sort of their personalities, and because I've always sort of felt like a combination of. I'm sure that there is a part of me that is just me, but there's a lot of my personality that has to do with my friends, my family, and or people that I've admired, and so we go around in our life and we collect little things that we like or don't like from people, and so I just try to, if I'm in a new situation, I go, okay, so this is my little brother and this is his friend, and what was that like growing up with these guys, and yeah, and basically he's my little brother, and this is his best friend from forever. And so I always had this thing where in real life, Zane Holtz is very big and scary. And
in the movie, he's very big.
And he's very big and scary in the movie as well. And he's like a tough guy, and he's been in prison and all this stuff. But
in real life or in the movie?
In the movie.
Oh, yeah. That too. Well, I wasn't sure if those two things were tied together.
Yeah, exactly. But there's the thing is I have a little brother, and like no matter how cool his friends are now, I still remember them all like crying, and you know what I mean? Like, so I was able in this movie to just always be like, I saw you. I know what you did when you were 5. You can't get away from that. You peed in front of everyone, Yeah, you went to prison. You're pretty tough, but I've seen you.
Probably peed
You're not
in front of everybody
me.
there too.
Yeah, exactly.
How old is your little brother?
My little brother is 30.
30.
Yeah.
He's not an actor?
He is an actor, actually. Yeah.
Sorry.
No.
Yeah.
He's pretty much just started, but he's doing really well. He was on a show called The McCarthys that went on last year, and he's great. I love him so much. I feel like he's who I pretend to be.
Someone laughed at that. That's really
No, because you either laugh or you're like
very
saddened.
self-deprecating. How is it in the family that like it seems like everybody wants to be an actor? Is it just because you sort of grew up in it a little bit and you're a little more comfortable with it, or?
I don't know. I mean, it's interesting because my sister she has no interest in it. She's a musician. She's an amazing musician, but she did a play in high school with me, and she was by far the most amazing. It was really incredible. She like had a whole nervous breakdown, and I was kind of like, oh, we're just faking it, but you're doing some real stuff over here. But she took it she's so sensitive, and she would like really tear herself apart afterwards. But so it's a weird thing. It's such a strange thing, and sometimes it's just like, how much pain and rejection and like you're not good enough, can you sort of deal with? And I also think there's a huge element of just being around it and seeing it, and also my parents, for all of us, kind of took us seriously in ways that weren't so great. I mean, it was like when we said we wanted to be an actor, instead of saying you can do anything you want if you put your mind to it, they're like, really? Okay. Here's all the books you should read. Here's all the movies you should watch. Here's what you should know. It's hard. It's this. And initially after I said that and they told me all that stuff, I was like, maybe musician or
Here are all the books you need to read for that.
Yeah,
and that's
exactly.
really hard too.
Yeah. I mean, that's why Astronaut got kicked out pretty early on.
Was that advice that I mean, I could imagine your dad, who had a pretty successful career for a while, having advice of some kind that's like, I had one of the biggest sitcoms of all time, and then that ended, and I kind of had to start over and find another career in acting.
Yeah.
Did he talk to you about that at all?
Yeah, I mean, he talked a little bit about it, and I also just saw it and saw how how he sort of dealt with it all, and one thing that was always sort of drilled into us all is sort of he was always like, we are so lucky, I mean, he worked really hard, and I think he was really amazing at what he did, but there are countless talented, amazing people who don't get that opportunity or don't, and so there's always an element of kind of chance and luck that that I don't know, that we were always very aware of. It wasn't like someone gets a part because they're the best person for the part. It's always like, listen, it's very complicated. It's a weird business, so you should know getting into it that it can destroy friendships and relationships and your own sense of yourself.
Has it done that at all for you?
No, not really. I think I've destroyed all my friendships and relationships on my own. But I can see how it's, I mean, even like for me, I've seen how that like kind of ugly feeling can come up when, I'm super celebratory of friends and people, but every once in a while someone will get something or I'll hear something and I'll go, and I hate it. I hate that I have that feeling of like, and it's all fear and it's all my own thing of, well, they're doing this thing, but, this is the last job I'll ever do, and then it's downhill from here and all this stuff, and then you realize that someone else's success has nothing to do with your own journey, but it's interesting to just have that ugly, horrible feeling come up.
When you were talking about Y Tu Mamá También, and one of the things that you said that made me think of this exact same thing is that you watched the movie and you thought to yourself, well, that's the best acting ever. I can't. And I have that feeling sometimes as like, not necessarily as like a former filmmaker or someone who does this, like you watch something and you're kind of like, they did it.
Oh, yeah.
Like they did it before me, and like, or like,
right.
They did it better than I could ever do it, or you just get kind of frustrated, and then you realize that you're not just embracing and enjoying the work rather than like.
Well, and then often you also like, you'll be, inspired by someone and you'll be like, they're sort of, I mean, I know we're all humans, but they're tapped into something. And
then you meet them and they're just awful people. No.
Yeah. Well, that happens too sometimes. But sometimes you meet them and they go, oh, we were all so stressed out. We cobbled that together at the last minute. This always bothered me in it. And you just,
it's all process.
Yeah, it's all
work.
It's all process.
And it's like you said before, you don't always get the part because the person who gets the part isn't always the most talented, or the movie isn't the best because it was meant to be the best from the beginning. Certain things happen, and it's all about timing and all these weird things that come together.
Yeah, and it's all just people trying to make the best stuff. And if you're trying to make that, like, I mean, I've tried to write over the years, and I'll write and I'll realize that this is not, the great American screenplay, and I'll delete it all. And my friend says, like, it doesn't. You have to get over that. You have to be willing to have your first draft be awful and embarrassing, and if anyone saw it, you would, want to tear your hair out. But he said it's like taking a big chunk of clay from the clay jar. And
The Play-Doh bin.
yeah, exactly. And trying to make it into a pot before you even get it onto the wheel. He says you just got to put it on the wheel and it looks awful, and then you slowly kind of have all the material and you sort of shape it. And
Well, I think those who are
and then
not
Patrick Swayze comes in and holds it.
I think those who are not obsessed with process or aren't willing to sort of recognize the fact that it is all these other things that sort of make the full shape are the ones who get really lost in trying to be a part of that industry, because they don't necessarily think about all these things that come together or focus on the process. They focus on the sort of end goal, like what's the interview that I'll get to do for this? What's the thing that
Yeah.
made me famous or something?
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like in the show that I'm doing right now, the one of the actors, Nate Dendy, is this amazing magician, and it sort of is like it I don't know, it reminded me of that. Like if I could have that work ethic where he works so hard, years and years and years, every day, working with cards, figuring it out, doing it, so that he can have one moment that goes like this one magic moment that I go, oh my gosh, how did you do that? And that's sort of what it all is. Like it eventually, hopefully, will look effortless and magical, but it's by those like little step-by-step things that are very sort of unglamorous. But yeah, people who want to skip those little steps, they're going, gosh, I really want to get through this movie so I can get to the red carpet. Yeah, yeah.
Magic is one of those beautiful things that sort of realigns you or lets you know that there's a process to everything. Whereas acting, like you said, you watch it on screen, I think so many people see it, and it just essentially looks like action, and then they walk off, and that's the end of the whole thing, It's like very easy, and it's like, no, it's actually like a huge process. You went to school, people went to school for it.
Yeah, and that is one of the weird things about acting is like the best ones, like you watch Meryl Streep or any of the great actors, and they just look like they're not doing anything. They're just being, like they're just that character, and it looks so easy
to get there.
And it's just like yeah, but it's not just you and your life and a camera, I guess, unless you're on a reality show. But like, you're trying to recreate being completely natural and normal when there's all these other people around and there's a camera saying, "All right, now do it now." And you're like, "Oh." And so I don't know. It's a very sort of elusive kind of weird thing, but it is. I don't know. It's funny how easy it looks when someone amazing is doing it.
You mentioned a show that you're doing right now. Are you talking about the Comedy Central show that you're working on? I think it's called Another Period, right?
Yes, Another Period, yeah. Well, I was talking about the play that I'm doing. Nate Dendy's in the play that I'm doing. But yeah, the show Another Period is really
Wait,
really
there's
fun.
a different magician in a David Mamet play? It's not Ricky Jay?
That's true.
That's not possible.
No, I know. It had to be. We had to go a little younger for this one, and
Is Ricky Jay pissed?
probably he's probably.
Does anyone know who Ricky Jay is? This is kind of bumming me out.
Ricky Jay is an amazing magician. Yeah, he's worked with David Mamet a whole bunch of times.
Yeah, Mamet directed his films, his plays, and he's also in a bunch of the movies as well.
Yeah. You guys should.
Google.
I'm going to look him up
Jay.
as well and learn more about him. But yeah, no. But Another Period is really fun. It's on Comedy Central. It starts tomorrow night, and it's basically like a reality show in the style of sort of Real Housewives or something like that, but set in a sort of Downton Abbey type thing. So it's still super, kind of rich, out of touch people. But back in those days where you were even more out of touch because there was no internet.
Who do you play on the show?
I play Frederick, who's probably in a family of very ignorant, not so bright people. He is by far, I think, the dimmest bulb of the whole bunch. There's a line in it where someone says that Frederick thinks rocks are alive. And he goes, "That's ridiculous. Some of the older rocks have passed away." So he's very, very dumb. And he's in the sort of, like Downton Abbey, the sort of forbidden love storyline. One of them is that he is in love with his twin sister. So they, obviously can't be together. But they try. And it's
Is there a lot of like goofy British accents that you guys are doing, or are you doing it without accents?
we're sort of doing it. It's all sort of across the board. A lot of us are sort of doing kind of mid-Atlantic accents, sort of proper American accents. But it's all across the board. Paget Brewster has this amazing voice that she does that sounds like a mixture of Glenda the Good Witch, and I don't know where it's from, but it's amazing. You should hear it. You should watch the show just for Paget's voice. It's incredible.
We have time for some questions. Does anybody have any questions? Someone's pointing to someone right here. Here we go.
Hey.
Hi.
So I have to tell you that Raise Your Voice is like my favorite movie ever. I
Thanks.
used to cry all the time when your character died, and I used to listen to that song and like cry about it. So I'm just wondering, like, are you friendly with Hilary Duff? Are you guys still on good terms?
I hadn't seen Hilary Duff in years. We did that in like 2003 or 4, and she's busy. I understand. After that, she and her sister each had some episodes on this show that I was doing, Joan of Arcadia, so I got to see her there. But then I hadn't seen her for years until a couple months ago or something at some event. I can't even remember what it was. And she was so nice, like exactly the same as she was back then. And that was sort of the amazing thing about that whole thing is I went and I did that movie and I met her, and here she was like the center of this machine that's making her a superstar.
The Disney machine?
I think it was. Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, because of Lizzie McGuire. Was that? Yeah. So she was huge, and then like at the center of it, she was just like, "Hi," very sweet. Some people, especially in that, if you're made to be an international superstar at 15 or 14. You can start to believe all of the stuff that everyone's saying about you, about how you're the greatest thing ever. And I don't know. I mean, I guess it's a testament to... Bieber. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But she and her sister were always super nice and kind of were like, this is pretty cool that it's happening. But she never had any kind of... I don't know. And so anyway, she was lovely, and she's a mom now, and it was nice to see her again. And yeah. But that was intense.
This question is from Periscope.
Cool.
You've got 7 minutes. You've got another period coming out, which is hilarious from what I've been seeing.
Oh, thanks.
Which direction do you want to lean more? Do you feel you're more comedic or dramatic or a little mix of both?
Oh boy. I mean, I would love to be sort of like I would love to just go right down the center. Just be a mediocre both. No,
Just about working.
Yeah, exactly.
Working.
No, I mean, I really like the blending of the two, and to me, the funniest comedies are the ones that are most sort of rooted in drama, and by the same token, I love dramatic movies that allow for comedy, because I feel like that's what life is like. It's funny and it's tragic, and I feel like when you try to suck out all of the comedy from any drama, it ends up being sort of melodramatic because no one's able to laugh at themselves, and it seems a little bit weird. But one of the reasons that all those Indiana Jones movies are so great is not only because of Harrison Ford being super awesome, but and all the great action sequences, but because there's humor in it. It's funny, and so I don't know. I would love to be able to try to do both, or one of each, or keep on pretending that I'm doing one, but sneaking things into the other, like this.
Stop.
Like
I would argue that
Thanksgiving
some of the most memorable dramas for me have humor in ways that that are totally unexpected. Like There Will Be Blood is kind of funny in its own weird way. Like Daniel Plainview's totally crazy and he does crazy stuff.
Yeah.
And Taxi Driver in its own way is like a very funny movie. And like every time I say that, I get silence like that. But Taxi Driver is very funny. It's like Robert De Niro's a crazy weirdo in the movie.
It is. I mean, the scene in Taxi Driver where the guy's like, can I get your phone number? And he's like, 57392. And he's like, that's only five numbers. He goes, 5739226.
When he's talking to the security guy?
Yeah, he's like,
what kind of guns you guys carry? And
Yeah,
the guy's
yeah.
like, what?
Yeah, it's also terrifying, and there's some horrifying things in it. But yeah, but he also thinks that phone numbers only have 5 numbers. So
I have a question for you. Last question about your father, John Ritter. What was his final feelings about Problem Child 1 and 2? And did you watch it growing up?
I did watch it growing up.
So did I.
Yeah. I think he had a great time on those. I haven't seen them in a long, long time. But a guy pees in some lemonade, and the guy drinks it, and he goes.
He beats an entire team with a baseball bat.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah, I should see that again. Is it darker than I remember?
It's real. Me remembering back, it's like Taxi Driver was a good segue to Problem Child. It's that dark at times.
That's what I remember. Because also isn't Michael Richards in it as a serial killer?
He's a serial killer that he befriends that the child is pen pals with.
Yeah, I guess this is probably worth a second look.
It is so good. Do we have any more questions before I let right here?
Speaking about your father, did anyone ever tell you was blessed with his good looks? And the other day, I saw a picture of him. I'm like, oh my God, it's been that long already. Then I saw your picture. I said, wait a minute, he's still here, just through his son's good looks.
That's very nice of you. That's very nice of you. Thanks. I don't know how to respond to that.
That's very sweet. That's very sweet.
It is very nice. I can't believe it's been that long too. It's really weird.
Are you nervous taking on the David Mamet play?
Oh yeah, I was just because he's so great, and it's actually the way he writes is technically difficult at first, and then you get through it to the other side, and you've memorized, and you're able to sort of go back and forth with pace. But there's a kind of magical moment where once you've gone through all of the technical stuff, you go, oh, here it is. Now it really feels like we're just talking to each other, and it's great that I have this, and it's the way people talk, where they sort of interrupt each other, but when you're first reading it and it's all separate, it's like it's very scary. And
it's also so motivated, right? Like, every line, every beat is motivated by the drama and the conflict, and it's constantly presenting conflict, He's so good at games. I could imagine that initially being somewhat daunting, but then once you hit, like you said, you hit your stride, you can just keep going because you realize that everything is connected and a part of the whole.
Oh yeah, and that's been one of the fun things about the play is that there are these scenes where you realize like it gets to a certain point, but if this hadn't happened, then that next thing wouldn't have happened, and that it's like one thing happens that makes everything snowball, and he's an amazing writer. I feel very lucky to get to say his words in front of people.
So cool. Before we go, we're going to take a look at one more clip from the film, 7 Minutes. This is an exclusive clip that's on AOL.com. Let's check it out.
Look, I get it, all right? You want to work hard, make an honest living, do it the way Dad did. But let me tell you something, in case you haven't noticed, that whole American dream, that ship has sailed. The world doesn't work like that anymore.
You want to see me selling dope?
It's not about drugs. It's about us. It's family. You're my little brother, and I'm trying to help you out. I know you're in a tight spot right now.
You've got it all figured out.
Hope he doesn't think he's giving you advice out here.
How's it going, Annie?
Yeah, it's going. She needs to take a nap. Oh, Justice, he's so sleepy. I know.
Sam, I'm not just telling you this to hear myself talk. This could be a good thing for both of us.
Yeah. I better go.
Come on. Bring it in. Keep punching that clock.
Yeah.
All right. All right. Thank you.